comments on YouTube and Facebook saying, why can't I watch this show in this country? So it's a double-edged sword, because the online model doesn't lend itself to the slicing off the rights the same way that TV does.
Right. I'd love to get your guys' perspective on this. NBC, ABC, Fox, CW have all but abandoned any efforts in original programming online. CBS continues to make bets in developing original programming. What are your thoughts on that? Why is that? Why are they continuing to push, whereas the other ones have stepped aside for now?
Too much money.
Too much money?
Yeah, they're making too much money in their primary businesses.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's too small.
Yeah, it's too small. Which is great for all of us on
CW is actually, CW made an announcement, I think about a month ago, that they're getting back into the original business. So, there is another buyer in the marketplace, but it's going to, have to fit their core brand. And then the question is this a development tool for their TV? And then how many cooks are in the kitchen there? And that becomes very complicated.
I think it's going to be interesting over the next 18 months to see what the networks do when they see the type of stuff that's coming out. Either that might scare them, or it might, they might just sit back and say, hey, to some of the other guys' points, that they're still making enough money traditionally. But I think that they're going to see that that the level of people who are starting to come to the table, even if you see some of the channels that YouTube gave out to, and how that really started quite a craze in Hollywood, I think they're going to be pretty surprised. And I think that my bet is they are going to start to make more of a push. To what degree? Not sure, but I think ask that question 18 months from now, I think it'll be a different answer.
I don't know if it's going to be broadcast or cable, but and I'm biased here because we have a YouTube channel called Kin Community. Everyone check it out, please. But we're creating, I think, great content, and it's obviously already paid for. Thank you, YouTube. But what a great opportunity to go to a cable channel like the Cooking Channel or something like that and say, hey, I've produced all this great content, we own it. It's very easy to just put it together into a 22-minute half hour. It's already paid for, so let's go make the money together. I mean, to me, I think, to your point, over the next 18 months, it would be silly why folks with channels on YouTube wouldn't do that.
Right. So we came out of CES, every device, every TV was a connected TV, internet enabled. Sony's making big bets on Google TV. And one of the nice things about Google TV in particular is the ability to search across everything with one search bar, right? So you can search what's on YouTube, you can search what's on DECA across your network, you can search what's on NBC, DVR, all at the same time. How is that going to affect our business? How is that going to affect whether it's on the scale side, or as that line of distinction is blurring between what's TV content and what's made for web content?
You're opening up a whole new front, and I think that's probably one of the most interesting areas for innovation right now, which is discovery. When you go even, so YouTube, let's take YouTube as an example, and YouTube's working very hard on this with channel strategy, but they're still only at 10% of where they should be. Take a look at YouTube on a connected TV, or on an Xbox, or on your phone, or in your browser. It's different in every single channel, and it's very hard to find the content that you want. And going back to lean back versus lean forward, it's impossible to watch an hour worth of YouTube on a TV screen right now, because you don't know what they're going to serve you up. It's just not a great experience. So I think discovery is going to be so important across connected devices. There's probably someone new emerging in that space.
And getting back to social, I think that is key. Both search, algorithmic, and social. I mean, we're a bunch of programmers here, right? How many people have programmed for television here, like actually been responsible for getting a show on television? Raise of hands. A couple people. How many people have liked something on Facebook? Everyone, right? So we kind of see the world as curation, right? And that's how people are going to discover content, algorithmically through search and through curation. And being able to harness what your friends like in video and personalize that social experience and have it be cross-platform. To me, when I think of the future of online video business models, those applications and that way of curating content and discovering content is going to be fascinating to watch.
So discovery is a big part of that.
Yep.
What else happens when TV and web is basically the same thing? Are you going to have an AOL channel?
Well, I mean, we already have over-the-top delivery of our content, Boxy and Roku and those sorts of things. It's interesting because I think It'll be interesting to see if television becomes the same kind of platform. I think we sort of underestimate the platform the content lives on and how that really informs the content. We just say lean back, lean forward, all these things, but the connected TVs at this point, the functionality is very limited. It'll get there, I'm sure, over time, and so I think the answer to your first question was very slowly how that's going to impact everything. But I do think that oftentimes when we're making things that I feel sometimes are like television on the web, I almost feel like I'm doing radio plays on television in my own way, where it's sort of, there are behaviors that are inherent to the web that I wish we could harness a little bit stronger in some of the content we're making. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves.
Any other thoughts on that?
Well, from a producer standpoint, there's just going to be more content needed. So, we look at this as a great opportunity in the same way, when YouTube is out buying content or new distributors come out, it just becomes another vehicle for us to develop and create new IP.
Okay. A lot of people have touched upon the YouTube investment. It's been written about it tons of times. One of the areas that I think no one has really addressed yet, okay, is what if it fails? What if the majority of these channels do not build an audience, are not very good? There's a lot of first-time creators in there. There's a lot of people who, what are they going to do? You look at it and you question it in some ways. But what if it fails? What if it doesn't build an audience?
I don't know if you're looking at the question the right way. I think some will fail. I think that's why they made all those bets. I think there's no question about that.
That's a tiny bet for YouTube, right?
It is a tiny bet for YouTube, and God bless them that they can make that bet. But I think that was part of the strategy going in. Is let's bet on a lot. Let's see which ones work. Let's double down on those, and let's take all the learnings from the ones that didn't work and the ones that are working, and then make another bet. I think that's what you're going to see. So it's the same thing. Like, to Bruce's point earlier, good content is going to find a life.
Right.
And so I think the channels that can produce and find audiences and that are good premium content are going to live. It's the same thing that you see on TV. The content that doesn't work. I mean, how many shows don't work on TV? The majority of them don't work. I don't think that's going to be any different here.
Got it.
How many is the question.
I think I agree. From the TV standpoint, if you look at how many scripts are written, to how many pilots are made, to how many pickups happen, to how many shows make it, it's like 100 to 1, if that, or 1,000 to 1.
Well, we know 2 will make it. Right, at least 2 will make it.
Of course.
Of course.
Two of these channels.
At least these will make it.
But whether they succeed or fail, I don't think that YouTube is going to be judged on that. I think what they're going to be judged on is whether they can drive traffic to these channels. I'll give you an example. On Yahoo or AOL, they have that fire hose, and they're able to direct traffic off of that homepage in a very meaningful way. And we see it when they put us on the homepage. We see our traffic go from thousands to hundreds of thousands in literally minutes. So I think where YouTube is going to succeed or fail is in that category.
Yep.
Can they drive traffic to these channels in a meaningful way and then build an audience? Because they're not overseeing the content development. They're really the platform for these channels.
One more insight I'd like to get from you guys on YouTube in particular. Now, me being over the agency level, if I have one of my brands that wants to buy into some content on YouTube, whether pre-rolls or sponsored, whatever we want to do, I can only buy on the verticals. Okay, I can't go, Michael, for example, and say, I want to buy just that content. I try to do a deal with you to do that, but at the YouTube level, 99% of that content is being packaged into verticals.
I believe you can.
You can actually buy channels. Right?
Yeah, you can. I don't know if you can buy. You can buy share of voice on channels.
Share of voice, right?
So like we have an advertiser who's advertising on Kin Community right now, and they own 100% share of voice. So I think they had to buy a vertical, but I think that within that vertical they could kind of be a little bit flexible.
You have to start at the vertical level to buy. The packing ratio, so is 90% off the channel that you want, 10% actually on the channel that you want. What does that mean for you guys, knowing that your content, your channels are being packaged up this way, and somebody can't come in and just buy your show?
Well,
is that good, bad?
But you can always sell them yourselves. I mean, we have our sales force out there selling against our own channels on YouTube. And
as part of your originals deal? As part of your YouTube originals deal?
Originals is a little different, but
A little, yeah. That's
I don't think he's talking about what you're talking about.
Okay, got it.
but we're already doing that. So and there's always auction in case somebody really wants to bid against a specific channel.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
Never mind. I was going to add
Bruce,
something to that.
David, any thoughts on that? You guys are both involved with YouTube Originals, so.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know there's advertisers out there who would love to just take certain channels down. At the same time, I think it's smart what YouTube's doing. I really do, because they're looking for more of what your classic network buy.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're
Can't just buy South Park, you got to buy
Right.
all of Comedy Central.
Even though it'll be interesting to see if this holds. I mean, because we obviously have a lot of great advertising relationships as well, and we're involved with a few of the channels, but YouTube wants to control it right now, and we're all trying to respect that. So.
I think your question is, what if they fail? Well, what does success look like? And I think you look at success in a lot of different ways too. I think you're right, Bruce. They need to decide how they're going to market all these channels, right? And I think there's been a little bit of uncertainty as to exactly how much promotion they're going to give to each channel. And I think that'll be interesting to see over the next year. But simply put, there is a huge demand for higher quality content at a higher CPM. And I think even in this very early days of the YouTube, I don't want to call it an experiment, but in this YouTube initiative, you're seeing advertisers push in. And as long as YouTube can raise CPMs, sell out inventory, I think it's going to be, from at least a business perspective, successful.
Right.
And from a content perspective, it might take a little longer to catch up to the ad demand.
I think we'll all agree that YouTube is changing the game with regards to perception of online content. For that, they're going to be incredibly successful, and I think each one of us in our own way thank them for that. We are going to go to questions in one more minute. I'm just going to ask the group one more question, so if you have any questions, get ready for them. Continuing on the idea of investment, one more investment thing that I think is kind of off to the side, but is very prevalent for us, or it could be impactful. By the end of the year, Brightroll had received about $30 million, Yumi, about $12 million, Tremor, $37 million, all these video ad networks who are all looking at the idea of bringing content into the market. How does that affect things? Are they a buyer, a distributor? I mean, what role, all that cash coming into these companies, and with them getting in between you as the producers and the owners of that content and the advertiser, what does that mean for the market overall or for your business models?
Oh, you touched on two categories. So you touched on
Hit 'em both.
on video platform providers like a Brightroll or an Oyala,
Yeah.
and these guys are making shovels. So that's great. We all love shovels, and they're building great infrastructure. The video ad networks, the Tremors, the Yumis, the couple of others that are out there, that's VCs doubling down on investments because they're either going for the home run or they're going bust. So and these networks are really predominantly not in the business of producing content, they're in the business of selling a shit ton of pre-roll to advertisers. So they're right now they're a very important force in the market because they put a floor under the CPMs in many ways, and they can be an important source of income. But they're also a very distortive force because they're competing so hard on price that they're keeping they're putting a floor under the CPMs, but they're also putting a ceiling in many ways because every media buyer is now saying, well, why do you want more than $12? Because I can buy this from Tremor all day long for $12. So I think they're a very important player, and their role will evolve especially as the first one of them, which is probably going to be Tremor, is going to try to go public this year.
Got it.
I can tell you for us, it's great because they are another buyer, and all of them, even in the last 12 months, are picking up the phone and calling us because we sit in a world of content creators and looking to get into the original content game. I think some know how to do it better than others. Some have more experience doing it. And the great thing, outside of the fact that they are a buyer, and the models are different, but for our content creators, once we explain it to them, because again, it's not like a Yahoo, it's not like a YouTube or an AOL or an MSN. It's a different home. The IP, ownership can be really fantastic. If not, the full IP can stay with the content creator. So they are another player, they are another force, and we're very much engaged with them as well.
Got it. Gabe, anything affecting your business over at AOL?
Well, it affects everyone's business from a CPM perspective. So I think that's the strongest one. I mean, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, we have some time for questions. There's the microphone up here and one in the back if you'd like to ask our panel some questions. In the meantime, you guys figure out your last thought you want to leave everybody with. Wow, we got no question. Oh, sure. Can you use the mic so everyone can hear you? Thank you. You did such a good job, no questions.
I'm an independent producer, and I have a production company here looking to sell a show. And I'm curious to know, as I have my own YouTube channel, but I'm apprehensive about posting the pilot episode that we did or any of that new content on YouTube prior to pitching it at, let's say, a NATPE. Is that smart on my part, or would it be better to actually launch the show and see how many hits it gets to help that process along? That's my question.
So,
Are you trying to sell it to television? I was
Yeah.
confused there.
Yeah.
We believe that buyers love to have kind of brand equity. So if you look at the market of buying formats, it's no different than putting your show up on YouTube. You know, it's a proven concept. So maybe you don't want to put the whole thing up there if you've shot a full pilot, but I definitely would use it as a platform to gain audience and to kind of gain some excitement around a brand.
right. Michael, you're shaking your head because I think you and I both know putting anything up on YouTube is just
I wonder. I mean, I can't speak because I'm not an independent producer trying to sell a television show, but my instinct is that, you know, there's less is more sometimes, and kind of keeping a buyer's imagination intact. Maybe there's something to that. And putting it on YouTube, it depends. I mean, you could put it on YouTube, but you know, the goals of YouTube are totally different than selling a TV show, right? Like, you're not, if you're just trying to create a presentation on YouTube to show, and you don't design the page right, or it doesn't look right, or it's just, you know, YouTube could, in a sense, make the opportunity seem a little more pedestrian. No knock on YouTube, but I could see it the other way too. I mean, I could see it, so I think it's just ultimately a judgment call. But just keep in mind what the goal is. I mean, if the goal is selling a TV show, I don't know, YouTube probably
Yeah, I
is
think
going to be an outlier.
the other side of it is you could put it up there and it could do very well. People could react very positively to it, and you have a great case for it. If you're just going to put the content up and not leverage the social tools we talked about
that's the key.
that are on
Like,
YouTube, don't put it up there.
Don't do it because
Because you're going to get 2 views.
Exactly.
You, your
And-
friend,
and
and
it'll
then when
look
you go
like
back
no-
the next day, you'll have 3.
and no one
So-
will, and then it'll look like, oh, no one liked your idea.
Right.
So it's
Or you could have a hit. I mean, we developed an unknown show with an unknown YouTube star a little over a year ago, and we have over 100 million views, and we have TV show offers.
Right, but
So
you
I think-
kept putting out episode, like video after
But
video.
so if you
She's just got a
put
pilot.
together your strategy of what
Yeah.
you want to accomplish,
For
I
sure.
agree.
That
Bruce,
was also
that was
content
also
native to
that
the
was
web.
right. That was based on creating a web show, correct? Versus, I think
Yeah.
what you're trying to do is
Well,
is
we
get a
went the
TV
other
show.
way. We were creating a web show that turned into a TV show.
Right.
So,
So
Got
you're
it.
marketing your channels over multi-platform as well. So you're actually marketing the channel.
well, in that instance, we actually brought in partners to market it for us.
Okay. All right, question from the back.
Yes, hi. Philip Naka from Juice.com. My question
Philip.
is basically for the entire panel. And one thing that traditional media, meaning television studios and film studios, do very well is they create schedules and calendar their releases both for fall television season, mid-season replacements, and then the summer blockbusters, holiday, etc. So pretty much the audience, which we share with online and on television, is they're preconditioned going in that certain television shows and certain films come out at certain times. So my question for you is, does it make sense for we as web programmers to adopt a more cohesive or calendared approach in terms of the way we release our programming versus what I see more as a chaotic, I'm going to get it out there as soon as I get it done, or opportunistic, oh, I'm going to get it out right after the Super Bowl and run a bunch of ads against it. Because let's face it, we don't have millions of dollars in order to promote our content. So does calendaring make sense in the internet world?
Yeah. Calendar versus free-for-all, what do you think?
Calendaring definitely makes sense. We release on the larger channels, we release content according to a pretty tight schedule so that the audience knows that every Friday there's a big new video coming out around noon. And on Tuesday,
But how did you launch that show? When did you decide when to initiate? Because once you're in the groove, you got it. But when do you decide to launch it? Because I think that's what part of Philip's thing is as well. To kick off the show. Because there's seasons. Yeah, there's seasons on TV, obviously, but on the web, you release it anytime you want.
I think it depends on the platform the content's going to live on, knowing that audience, what they're looking for, what they're consuming, and then beyond that, timely and relevant content on the web performs generally pretty well. So an editorial calendar, let's say, that's tied to events you know are coming is not a bad idea because and you can look at it both ways. You could draft off of existing marketing and existing buzz and social and all of those things for your content because you know they're coming and you can plan a release schedule. Or if you wanted to try and think of it as counter-programming, I mean, that might be a little more difficult, but I think that would go back to understanding your platform and when people are coming and what they're looking for. I mean, it's kind of, it depends on the content and depends where it lives.
I think that's right. It depends on the content. Like we have lifestyle programming, so food is big for us. So obviously, Thanksgiving, it's a lot of food content targeting people buying stuff for Thanksgiving. Search tools are really helpful. What are people searching for? As much as timing, I think, there's sort of a nice nexus of time of year, what are people searching for? Can that influence the content you're creating in some ways, particularly if it's not scripted, lifestyle programming like we produce.
And to use data as opposed to anecdote.
Right.
You'll find people start looking for Halloween costumes in July. You may not know that unless you dig into that sort of thing. So.
Got it. I think we ran out of time, Daniel. Do we have time for one more comment from each? A good one? Okay. Last thoughts to leave everybody with on building their business model or what's going to what's in store for the future of online video? What's going to David, you talk a lot about what's going to happen this year, 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I can tell you that we're releasing some really what we think are, to speak of calendaring, calendaring tentpole, premium, TV and film quality, big shows, that we think are going to feel like big TV shows, even, hour-and-a-half films that are going to be cut into more of a web content. And I think when everyone sees the level of people and the names that are attached to these things, I think it's going to be exciting, and I think the shift is going to continue. So I think I'm really excited about this year.
Got it. Bruce?
I'll just echo your statements. Quality. It's all about quality this year. And I think what everybody needs to figure out is how to scale. So those are the two things that we're focused on is developing high-quality content and then working with partners to figure out how to get an audience there.
Got it.
If you're producing content, which I assume many of you are doing, do something that's targeted to ideally a small audience, or if you can, a big audience, but that you can address in the right tone. And then really either figure out how to become a great online marketer or partner with someone like us or whoever is relevant for your type of content to get it distributed, because that's otherwise you're a tree falling in the woods and your YouTube count will stay at 3 for the rest of the year.
Oh, thank you. That was actually good. I think what he said. I think I'll just speak to kind of what we're excited about and I'm excited about is I think leveraging technology to make good on the promise of the platform a little bit more in terms of engagement around content. In this year, I think you'll see a big push from us to do just that and sort of try and do some disruptive things around how people consume the content and engage with the content.
Got it. Michael?
I'm really excited about YouTube. I think it'll be really interesting. I encourage everyone to take a look at the channels on YouTube and over the next year, what performs, what works, what doesn't work. I think it'll be really interesting this year to see what happens with brand content. There have been a lot of brands spending a lot of money on brand content over the last few years. I just am curious to where that trend goes. I think we talked a little bit about it. And then I think Facebook. I think video and Facebook and social, there are all of these companies we were talking about before, Shelby TV, Frequency, Redux, VHX. There are all these companies coming out that are applications, platforms that take social video and personalize it. We happen to be working on one too, which we're excited about. And I'm just curious and fascinated to see what Facebook does as it relates to video content, because I think that will be game-changing for our industry one way or another.
Got it. And I'll leave you with strength in numbers. Premium quality, TV quality content, enhanced with social, and then I'm hoping to see this year a TV quality show online with TV scale. Being able to forecast that, you be in that video, you'll get all your inventory in those 3 days. So I'll give you that one, Christian. All right, thank you very much for joining us today. Please thank the panel.
Quick note, this room is sponsored by YouTube and Google. YouTube does have a room if you have any questions on YouTube stuff. Also, if you're thirsty, we're giving away slushies. Thanks.